So it's the new year, and you promised yourself you'd finally start dropshipping. But after hours of videos and research, you find yourself stuck, drowning in information overload. Every guru says something different, every step contradicts the next, and the more that you search, the more confused that you get. Look, after nearly a decade in the game, scaling multiple seven-figure stores, and recently taking one from zero to over $100,000, I can tell you this. That confusion isn't your fault. Most of what you're watching right now is outdated, disconnected, or taught by people who haven't touched an actual Shopify store in years. And with how much dropshipping has evolved in just the last few months, you cannot afford to be learning from outdated information. That's exactly why I'm gonna walk you through the full beginner's guide step by step. So instead of bouncing between strategies, you finally have one clear blueprint that you can follow from start to finish. And the very first step, before you overthink anything, before you search for a product or worry about suppliers, ads, or niches, is simple. We need to turn that blank dashboard into a fully working, money-making storefront fast. But instead of spending hours dragging menus around, picking color palettes, and pretending to be a designer, we're gonna let AI build the entire store in minutes for 100% free. Right now, we're not worried about creating the perfect storefront. We just need a complete store in place so that when we get to product research in the next 2 minutes, it feels exciting instead of overwhelming. So let's go ahead and get this store built so that you can move forward. Once you click into the AI Store Builder link, it's gonna take you to this page right here. But real quick, I do want you to know something, and it's that every app, tool, and shortcut that I'm using in this video, it didn't just magically end up in the description. My team and I have spent countless hours making sure that we provide the best possible start for everyone who wants to start dropshipping, including discounts, extended trials, beginner-only pricing. Because listen, I remember exactly what it felt like to start with no budget, no connections, and no clue where to go. So when I say use the links below, I'm not just saying this for fun. I'm saying this because I want to make sure that you don't have to have the same uphill battle that I did. They're there to make this process as close to effortless as possible, especially if you're a beginner and you're on a budget. With that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing designed and head back into building our store. So once you make it back on this page, go ahead and create your account, as this part is super simple. Then once you're in, you're going to see the option that asks you to pick a niche. Now, do not overthink this, as we're not locking in on this niche forever. We're just giving the AI a starting point so it knows what kind of layout and structure to build. For now, I'm just gonna go ahead and choose I'm not sure, as we're gonna focus on it later when we find a winning product that we're gonna build this entire store around. Next, it's gonna ask you to pick a couple different banner images. So I just want you to think of these as placeholders, as we will probably replace these in a little bit once we do find that product. So I'm gonna go ahead and select these two for now and just go ahead and move on. Now, as you see, it's gonna ask you to connect your Shopify store. So since we already created our Shopify store, what we're gonna do is just copy our store URL, paste it in, click done, and then now the AI Store Builder is linked directly to the Shopify account that you just created. Then once that's done, the AI app is gonna install automatically. Just like that, as you can see, now the store is fully built. No theme editor and no coding needed. It gives you a fully structured store with banners, sections, layouts. I mean, everything is already in place. Where all we need to do later is just swap the images, drop in our product, and then customize the text to match the brand that we want to build around the winner. So now if we jump back into Shopify, you can see it. I mean, the new store is already live, sections and banners are already set up, and the AI Store Builder is added right into our apps. That means that 90% of the work is already done. And the last 10%, the tweaks that we'll make once we find our winning product, are what turns a clean store into one that actually converts sales. Which means it's time for the fun part, finding the winning product that brings this whole thing to life. All right, so inside AutoDS, there's a brand new product research tool that we had a direct hand in building, which is the TikTok Analytics tab. From day one, they involved myself and my team directly, and the result is a tool that makes product research and validation simpler and more accurate than ever. Let me go ahead and show you how to use it. So when you open up TikTok Analytics, the first thing that you'll see is a list of products that are currently selling on TikTok Shop. You'll see filters for things like toys and hobbies, outdoors, sports and fitness, and so much more. And you guys are actually the first people who have ever been able to see this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on all categories and set the time filter to the last 7 days. This is gonna give us the clearest picture of what is selling right now. So as we scroll down, you'll see a list of products that you can choose from. Each one shows the shop that's selling it, the sales trend over the last 7 days, and the category that it falls under. So even as a beginner, you can understand what is working at a glance. You're gonna notice a lot of everything here, but honestly, the first thing that jumps out to me is this one right here, which is the Guru Nanda whitening strips. They've got over 5.1 million units sold. And just to be clear, that's not from just one listing. That's the total number of units that the entire brand has sold on TikTok Shop across all of their products. So really, we just need to dive a little bit more deeper into this. So to see how much this specific product contributed to that, we will just scroll over And then right here, we've got our actual 7-day numbers for this exact item, where you can see that it's sold over 36,000 units in the last week with a little over $314,000 in sales. And scrolling over a little bit more, we can see the all-time units sold is 1.1 million with almost $8 million in total revenue. Now, it's not the entire brand, but 1.1 million units out of 5.1, that's roughly 20%. And that tells me that this product isn't just doing well, it's one of their core best sellers. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and click into the product and take a look at the full breakdown. All right, so once we're inside the product page, AutoDS is gonna give us a scorecard at the top. This makes it really easy to get a quick read on how strong the product actually is. And right here, as you can see, it's the 5th highest selling product in the United States and 3rd in the beauty and personal care category. So even with a super competitive niche, it's sitting damn near right at the top. Now, if you scroll down a bit, you're actually gonna see how many creators and affiliates are still promoting it today. And when thousands of people are actively pushing that same product, that's usually because it continues to convert well, which is also a great sign. Now, right under that, you're gonna get the sales trend charts. And as you can see, we got our last 7 days and our last 30 days. And look, you really don't even have to overanalyze these. I mean, you're just looking for a simple pattern: steady movement and steady growth. So in this case, the 7-day chart dipped just a little bit over the weekend, and then it picked back up during the week, which is totally normal. And on the 30-day chart, it shows a pretty smooth upward trend, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, we come in here and scroll a little bit further, we actually are going to hit one of the most useful sections, which is going to be all the TikTok videos that are promoting this exact product. This is going to show you the most viewed videos, the most liked videos, and the ones with the most comments. So diving deep into this, I mean, this is where you can find the angles and the styles that are already working so you don't have to start from zero, which is extremely important because you can immediately see why a video hit. Maybe it's a reaction angle. Maybe it's a results-based angle. Maybe it's a simple on-camera demo. Whatever it is, you don't have to guess because the proof is right there. And as a beginner, I mean, that's what makes this entire tool so powerful. Instead of spending weeks trying to find a product, trying to test random angles, or trying to guess what people want, AutoDS hands you all the answers up front, where you see what is selling, how fast it's selling, how long it's been selling, the exact creatives pushing it, and the angles that are already working today. That's why this tool exists, to make product research simple, clear, and data-backed so that you're not wasting time or money. And now that you know how to find a product the right way, here's where it gets even easier. AutoDS has another feature that lets you generate a full product page with one single click. So let me show you exactly how it works using a product that I actually found using the TikTok analytics tool. All right, so right here, I think this is gonna be the one we're gonna go with, which is a heated hoodie. But look, before I import anything, I do wanna run it through what I call the PES test: profit, engagement, and that it solves a problem. If it fails even one, I do not test it. If we look at the competitor pricing, we see that people are currently selling this product for right around $119. So with that in mind, I know that I have to source this product for no more than $47 in order to reach the 2.5x profit margin that I'm looking for. Maintaining in this margin is what helps reach a 20 to 30% profit minimum on every product that you sell. But you're probably asking, well, how did I get to that number? Well, I took their selling price of $119 and I divided it by 2.5, which is what came out to that 47, which means that when it comes to sourcing this product later on, which I will be showing you here in a second, this is the max that we're willing to spend on actually acquiring the product from the supplier. And if a product cannot hit that margin, even by a little, it's non-negotiable and we will have to move on to the next. Now for the engagement score, if we take a look right here, we can actually see the score is in the yellow, which is exactly what we want. Enough sales and comments to prove demand, but not too much that the market is already slammed. No engagement equals no demand, but too much engagement equals too late. So this one right here is definitely in the sweet spot. And finally, it does solve a real problem. Winter is currently here, people are cold, and it fixes the discomfort that they feel every single day. That's the difference between a product that people scroll past and a product that people buy without thinking twice. So for profit, check. Engagement, check. And it solves a real problem. So we just checked off all 3 boxes. So now this product right here has officially earned a spin test. And if you don't fully know what that means yet, don't worry, because I'm breaking down that exact method that I used to go from $0 to $1,000 days, so you're able to copy it and do the exact same for yourself in your own product. But before we get there, I do want to show you my new favorite AutoDS feature. This is where their new AI product page generator comes in. And this is huge, because now even though the AI store builder created the layout for the site, this tool builds the actual product page that your traffic lands on. And that's the second layer where the money is made. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit generate product page with AI. And as you can see, you start with 30 free credits. But I'm gonna go ahead and load up a little bit more so you can see the full thing in action. Now AutoDS is writing the title, description, features, benefits, everything in a clean, sales-ready format. You can even come in and choose a tone based off of being professional, social media optimized, funny, whatever your brand becomes later. For this example though, I'm gonna keep it professional for now. Then once it's done, you just go ahead and hit save and import, and then AutoDS pushes that final product page directly into Shopify. So let's go ahead and head back into Shopify. And as you can tell, here it is. Our heated hoodie, fully imported, fully structured, full product page with images, reviews, sizing chart. It's all ready to go. Now, yes, at this point, we still have that 10% that we need to add to this. Things like replacing the stock photos, tightening the offer, and adding urgency like limited stock or seasonal angles. But this thing right here, this just saved us hours of manual work. All right, so now that the product is plugged into Shopify, we're now gonna turn this thing into a real brand with colors, logos, homepage, all custom designed in only a few minutes. And don't worry or feel overwhelmed, because this isn't the part where you need to be a designer, have to hire someone, or spend hours picking fonts. You just need a structure to follow. And I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through it step by step. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna be doing is making sure that the homepage is matching the product that we just imported. So right now, this store kind of does look default. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rebuild it completely around that heated hoodie. And because we're at the beginning of the winter season, we're just gonna go ahead and use that to our advantage. So up here at the top banner, what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this generic background with something that actually matches the brand. And I do like to use pixels for this because it gives you free, high quality images that don't look like cheap stock photos. So once I head into that website, I'm just gonna go ahead and search something like winter, pick something clean, download it, upload it, and now you can see that the store instantly feels like it's built for the product and not just hosting it. Now I'm just adjusting the opacity so that the text still pops up, and then just go ahead and click save. Now that we have that finished, let's go ahead and head into our logo. And look, you also don't need Photoshop for this either. I just opened up ChatGPT and asked it for brand name ideas based off a heated hoodie, plus winter, plus performance. And out of all these options, the one that I like most was Summit Nova, because it was simple, brandable, and honestly, it just fits the product. So now that I have that set, what I'm gonna do now is just jump into Canva's AI logo generator, type in that same name, and then let it generate a few different concepts. All right, now this one right here is definitely pretty clean. It looks like an outdoor brand, so I'm gonna go ahead and save it and then upload it directly into Shopify. And now we're gonna do the same thing for the favicon, which is just a small icon that's at the top of your browser so that your tab doesn't look completely empty. So now that we have the brand name and logo, we're just gonna go ahead and match a color scheme to it. And the easiest way to do this is to head back into Canva, grab the exact blue and orange hex codes from the logo, and then apply those directly inside Shopify with the header, the buttons, the links, with everything so it all feels consistent. And let me make it clear that your store does not need 7 different colors. It really just needs 1 to 2 main colors, and utilize white and black for contrast. That's basically it. And then for the headline, I'm replacing the default text with a simple, clear tagline that I also came up with in ChatGPT. So what I came up with is heat for every summit, because it's short, it's memorable, and it's tied directly to the product benefit. Now below that, I'm removing all the filler sections that we don't need, and then replacing them with a mission statement. Again, generated in seconds through ChatGPT, so that the brand doesn't feel like a random dropshipping site. And by the way, every single prompt that I'm using for the logo, the mission statement, for everything inside of building the store, I'm gonna go ahead and leave them in the description down below, so you can literally copy and paste them into ChatGPT when it's your time to go ahead and build out your store. So now right under that, what we wanna do is add in the featured product section and then select the heated hoodie. So once we have that finished, the last step we wanna do is just preview the store to see what it would look like from a customer's perspective. So zooming out, here's what we just built. As you can see, there's a seasonal banner, brand match colors, a logo plus tagline, mission statement, and our featured product already in place. And the product page, it's already done for us by AutoDS. We just need to update the price, turn on inventory, and then tweak the shipping text. So think about this. We just started off with a blank Shopify dashboard to now having a fully structured branded store, all built in under an hour without ever touching code or having to hire a designer. That means the hard part that most beginners get stuck on is already out of the way, which then brings us to the next real question. Once the orders start coming in, who's responsible for fulfillment? As a beginner, you need one thing locked in first, which is your supply chain. And all that really means in dropshipping is this: how your product goes from the supplier to the customer without you ever having to touch it. Now, if that system is solid, your store grows. But if that system cracks, the whole business falls apart even if you're making sales. Because most people don't even realize how fragile that system really is until the orders start actually coming in. The part nobody wants to warn you about in dropshipping isn't about finding a winning product. It's the moment you get your first 20, 30, or even 50 orders, and suddenly you realize that you have no control over what happens next. The tracking to your orders doesn't update, customers start asking where the package is, refunds start stacking up, and before you even have time to react, your account and all your payouts are now completely frozen. And you wanna know how I know this is because just a few months back, I ended up getting stuck in the same exact spot, where every night I was just glued to my phone, refreshing messages, just trying to get an answer from my old supplier, and ended up getting nothing. Where my inventory did stall, I wasn't able to fulfill my products, my payouts did freeze, and I was stuck watching everything crash, while at the same time, I was chasing suppliers overseas as an attempt to keep things moving. So after days of stress, I ended up just looking for something different. Not just faster shipping, but a supplier that felt like a real partner from day one, instead of someone who ghosts me when things go bad. And if I'm being real, I didn't even know if what I was looking for was even attainable, until I searched and finally came across a platform called TeamDrop, and I just decided to give them a shot. And man, let me tell you guys, it was a night and day difference with them. And they were the ones blowing my phone up, sending me updates, tracking links, checking in on me, not the other way around. I mean, they even sent gifts to the customers who never got their orders from the last supplier, and they expedited replacements without me ever having to say a single word. On top of that, it's the only fulfillment tool that I've ever found that gives you a dedicated agent, a real person that you can message directly, and they even provide you with verification photos before a package ever goes out. And I'll be real, that one-on-one transparency, I mean, that's what kept my store alive when volume began to spike, where I didn't have to sit there and wonder if any order shipped, or just hoping that my supplier doesn't disappear overnight. Because now I wasn't just selling a product, I was in the position to actually scale it. So you can do this a couple different ways, but the easiest method, and the one that I recommend starting with, is taking a screenshot of the product and uploading it directly into TeamDrop. Inside TeamDrop, you've got 3 different sourcing options. And the very first place that you always want to check is TeamDrop's own catalog. If they already carry the product, that is the best case scenario because you get instant pricing. You don't have to hunt down suppliers yourself, and you can list it to your Shopify store in one click. Let me go ahead and show you. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload the screenshot, and then right here, you can see a few options along with the pricing. Now, since this product is already in TeamDrop's system, I can just go ahead and select it, hit list a store, and then it will automatically import it directly into our Shopify. Now, if the product isn't available on TeamDrop, that's when you move to the second option, which is 1688 or Taobao. 1688 and Taobao are the same marketplaces that TeamDrop pulls suppliers from. So checking them directly just gives you more options if TeamDrop doesn't have your item yet. And when you're using 1688 or Taobao, this is where you're gonna see the option inside TeamDrop to request sourcing. All that means is TeamDrop is confirming the real price, the shipping costs, and how fast that supplier can ship it to your customers. It's basically the verification step before you import the product to your store. So once you upload that same image on 1688 and find the supplier, you then come back to TeamDrop and then hit request sourcing. TeamDrop will then reach out to that supplier and confirm the real pricing and shipping. And that usually takes around 40 minutes, depending on how fast the supplier responds. Now, your third option is using their private agent through WhatsApp. Now, before reaching out, make sure you have your store ID because they will ask that for the first time. From there, you just scan the WhatsApp web QR code, open up the chat with your agent, send your product screenshots, and they will reply with pricing, shipping rates, and variants. This is a huge benefit when you're running multiple products because it saves you from manually digging through 1688 every single time, as they handle all the communication with the supplier, confirm the details, and update everything inside your TeamDrop account so you don't have to manage it manually. Now, if we go back into the sourcing results, you're gonna see everything in one place. The products that we found directly through TeamDrop, the ones that we requested through 1688, and the ones sourced by the private agent. So from here, you just pick the option with the variant that you want, that has the best shipping time and the price that makes the most sense for your business. Then from there, you just go ahead and import it directly into your store. That's the full sourcing process from start to finish. So now that everything is sourced and is showing inside your sourcing results tab, let's go through the final steps to get everything set up the right way. So first, just come over here to sourcing result. Now this page is going to show you the status of every supplier that you requested. Now you can see right here that all 4 came back successful, and each one gives us a different price option to choose from. For example, this bottom supplier came back at 62 cents, so let's go ahead and click into it. Now inside this window, you're going to see the full cost breakdown, the variance, the estimated shipping fee, and the total landed cost. which for this one is right around $5.87. Then once this sourcing is confirmed, you just simply go ahead and click list a store, and then TeamDrop will import this product straight into your Shopify store. Now, when you start getting consistent sales, this is where I recommend planning ahead. One of the best ways to do this is to buy stock in advance. Not only does it lower your processing and shipping times and lower your cost of goods, but it also makes fulfillment a lot easier. So right here, you can either list a product to your store or buy stock directly inside TeamDrop. And since we already been selling this product for a bit, we actually already bought some inventory. And today we got a new order in. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to fulfill it. All you have to do is just come back over here to orders, click purchase order, and then you'll see that new order that just came through. And because we already have private stock, the only thing that we need to pay for with this order is just the shipping alone. But if you didn't have any inventory, no problem. You would just go ahead and pay the full cost as you go. So we'll just go ahead and select the order, click pay, and TeamDrop will ask you if you want to deduct that from your private stock, which we do. So we're gonna go ahead and choose the one unit that we have available. Next, go ahead and select your payment method, click agree and pay, and that's it. Payment successful. Your order is now being fulfilled automatically. It's really that simple. Once your sourcing is done, fulfilling orders inside TeamDrop only just takes a couple clicks. All right, now that is the entire fulfillment process. And once your sourcing is set up the right way, TeamDrop handles the rest. The pricing, the shipping, the stock, and getting your orders out automatically. At this point, your store is finally capable of making money. But being capable and being ready are two completely different things. So now the question isn't can this work? It's how do we put this in front of people who are already looking to buy? Look, most beginners think traffic is the hardest part of dropshipping, but honestly it's not. The real problem is that they try to do every traffic method at once, and they never stick with one long enough to actually see the results. They post on TikTok, they start an Instagram, they try Facebook groups, they even throw $50 into ads, but then they call the business saturated when nothing happens. But that's not saturation. That's just stretching yourself too thin for anything to work or to even gain momentum. So let me give you the only traffic strategy that you actually need when you're starting from zero, and why as long as you commit and stick to it, you will notice a dramatic increase in your website traffic, and I call it the 30-on-1 method. 30 days of short-form organic content on one platform, not 5, 1. Now that alone does 3 things for you instantly. First off, it forces clarity. You can't hide behind maybe the problem is my website when the market is reacting or not reacting in real time. Second, it gives you free data. What people comment, what they joke about, what they ask for, that all becomes your future ad copy. And third, it builds a base. Even 300 views per video is 300 potential buyers without you ever having to spend a single dollar. And look, 300 may not seem like a lot, but you go hop in a room full of 300 people and tell me if you still feel the same way. Now imagine 1,000, 10,000, and even 100,000 people. These are all eyes on a product that can generate you life-changing sales. And yes, the best part is it's 100% free, which means that your worst case scenario is that you just learn how to improve. And your best case scenario is that you're making sales and you have the potential to grow and expand your business even further. Now, before you can create and edit your own ads, one of the most important things that you need to understand to create viral ads every time is what components make up the ads reaching millions of people. That starts with the fact that they always catch a viewer's attention in the first 3 seconds. The first 3 seconds are make or break for your ad. If you don't grab the viewer's attention immediately, they're just gonna scroll right past your ad, which is ultimately gonna lose you money. Think about it. You're paying your hard-earned money to run an ad that nobody's stopping to watch, that nobody's clicking into, and that ad that you're paying to run is not making you any sales. Now, the best way to combat this to catch your viewers' attention is by using things like eye-catching visuals or strong copy that makes them curious about your product. Another important thing that you need is to have high-quality images and visuals. Your ad is most likely going to be the first time that people are seeing your product or your business. So it's crucial that you make a good impression by having high-quality visuals, because this is gonna affect how people see your product. If your images are low quality, your customers are going to assume that your product is not worth buying. So one of the main reasons that you want to have high quality images of your products in your ads is that this is a way that you can start building more trust in your business. You need to have a specific persona in mind when you're coming up with your ad. You see, when you're making your ad, you need to know who you're advertising to. If you don't have a clear persona, you're not going to know what to do for your ads. You need to make your ads for a specific audience. So it just makes it easier for you to make it relatable and engaging for your viewers. Now, when you're preparing your ad, You need to be aware of trends that are coming up at that time that you're gonna run your ad, and you need to follow those trends. You're gonna be running these ads on Facebook, and Facebook's algorithm is always gonna wanna push content that's trending rather than showing viewers content that nobody's interested in. So if you see people using trending styles for their ads, like POVs or testimonials, and those ads are bringing in thousands or millions of views, this is something that you need to pay attention to. Like I always tell you guys, making and running ads is never about reinventing the wheel. It's just about taking what's already working on the market for others and improving on it for your own business. Next, something that you need to do every time that you make an ad is to always engage with the audience's emotion. Connecting to people's emotions is what's gonna make it so that your viewer can remember your ad and recognize your brand for a longer time. And you can do anything to strike emotion, from just making your audience relate to your ad, making them laugh, or making it feel like this is a relief to the problems that they have. The only mission here is to be able to connect with them, because this is what's gonna make it so that people are more likely to engage with your content. You want people to engage with your content as much as possible, because this is what's gonna show Facebook's algorithm that people are interested in your content. So the platform is then gonna push your ad to more and more people. And finally, your ad needs to include a strong call to action. You always need to tell people what to do after they finish watching your ad, or else they won't do anything. They'll just keep scrolling to another video, they won't buy your product, and they won't share your ad to anyone. So the importance of a compelling call to action is just to make sure that your viewers don't scroll past your ad without coming closer to buying your product. All right, so using all that information, let's go ahead and look at some ads that are currently on the market and break down visually where some of them went wrong and why others will succeed. All right, so right away, the 16:9 ratio that they're using on this video does not look good at all, and this definitely doesn't look good on mobile either. The hook is not grabbing my attention and is not compelling. This video is also zoomed in way too much, and I actually cannot see the whole product. As we go through the video, there's not a single piece of footage of a person giving or receiving the product as a gift. But that's what they were highlighting in their hook, right? You could tell that their messaging is completely off. There's also like no features and benefits being highlighted in this ad. For example, I can't even tell how big the product is. At the end of the video, there's also no clear call to action at the end. They're also not highlighting any free shipping, discounts, promotions, or any extra reasons why someone should buy this product. This ad also ends on a verbal uptick, making it sound like a question, or the video got cut short.
Add some magic to your gift giving with a rose bear today.
Ultimately just sparking questions and curiosity of what is even going on with this ad. One thing I like that they're doing is adding in constant cuts to hold attention. Every time that the frame is going to a new clip, it's kind of like resetting your eyes to seeing something brand new about the product. So I think they did a good job with that. All right, so now that we saw that example, let's go into a different type of ad. And listen, if you're watching this and that was your ad, do not feel bad. Just know that there's a lot of room of improvement. With that being said, let's go ahead and check out a different one. The ratio of this video is a lot better than the last, because this 1:1 aspect ratio works really great for both desktop and mobile. Right away, I like hearing this romantic music, and I want to be clear that music can definitely spark emotion. And having this type of romantic music to go with a romantic type of item, this correlates perfectly. I also like how they're showing the product in all types of different settings. Outside, inside, in the car, at somebody's house. They're showing so many different visuals behind this product, and I think they did a great job with that. And unlike the last ad, they're showing multiple people holding the product, showing that they were happy and the size of the rose bear in real time. They're also highlighting a free 7-day shipping worldwide, showcasing that they have a good deal and quick delivery. They also inputted a deal of buy 2, get 1 free. That ultimately is going to increase their AOV, or average order value, because people are buying more from them. But secondly, and most importantly, it's creating urgency, because people are not going to want to miss out on this deal. And the call to action at the end repeatedly urges to buy now and click the link down below. Now, one of the biggest cons of this ad is that the video image quality is extremely poor and low. Like I told you guys earlier, the images and videos that you're using are going to determine your success. So having low quality videos like this, you might get a couple sales, but you're definitely not going to be able to scale. So what I just did, by examining all the different competitors in the market, this is going to be your first stepping stone anytime that you want to try to sell a product. But once you do this analysis and you get a few examples of what's working in the market, along with a clear idea of what you do and don't like, you're already ahead of most beginners. And then in about 2 to 3 days, depending on whether or not you have any revisions, you'll end up with an ad like this, where you're seeing right out the gate a very strong hook and compelling emotion that is going with the hook, saying when words aren't enough to express your love, let a timeless gift do the talking. And then look at the scene right here, where there's an obvious emotion that we're trying to portray. You're seeing him smiling, you're seeing her smiling, and you're seeing an influx of love between each other. Then right after that, we are getting into the features and benefits of the product, while also adding in our product name and branding. So as you can see, it says the Love Night necklace is more than jewelry. And then within that same clip and in that same frame, everything that is being put in text is also being highlighted with imagery. So showing that it is more than jewelry by showing the transition of everything that you're getting in the box. But then taking that messaging and taking it to the next step. So again, we just saw that it's obviously more than just jewelry because the box comes with more than just that. But then you can see in these next clips, the messaging behind the product that is more than just what comes inside of the item itself. How it's a symbol of strength, passion, and unbreakable devotion. And I want you to notice that every single clip that you're seeing is all high quality. The text itself is very easy to read, and I'm not using a bunch of different colors. And then right after getting through these features and benefits, I'm then talking to the main audience of people who I want to buy my product, saying this is the perfect Valentine's Day gift. So number one, if you're watching this, you know it's a great gift. But number two, you know the emotion that you can get from the person after you give them this gift, as you already saw on the hook earlier. Then finishing this ad strong with a clear call to action, saying shop now to enjoy free shipping, but only for a limited time. To then be able to increase that urgency, where by the end of this ad, I'm already highlighting a couple different things. Who is buying my product? Why are they buying my product? What is the value of my product? What can this product do for the person who's buying it? Where in this case, it's making their partner happy. And lastly, I'm telling them exactly where to go and how to get this limited offer, where I'm presenting the idea that you need to hit the link down below, you need to buy this product today because this deal is not gonna be around forever. So just like that, you now have a professionally made ad that is ready to start bringing in customers to your store right now. But hold on. We do not have to stop there, because you can actually turn around and use this exact same ad that you already own to then make even more viral ads for your product. So once you have the OG original ad done, you can then head over to CapCut and then create your account. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this video ad that was made for me by Supreme Ecom Ads, and I'm gonna keep everything that they did for me. But I'm gonna edit and change the hook a few times so I can create different ads to test out using the same content. All I have to do is first, when I get to the screen, go ahead and click on create a new project. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is click import and upload my ad file, which is the ad file that we just got created. Now that that's imported, I'm gonna go ahead and click and drag my creative down to the editing bar. From there, I'm gonna click on this whole ad and then head over here to the audio section. I'm doing this so that I can mute it and add in copyright-free music. All right, so to do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and drag the audio bar all the way back down and mute it completely. Now that it's muted, what I'm gonna do is head over here to the audio section on the left-hand side, and I'm gonna add in my own music. Now in this section, you're gonna see the music tab, which is gonna give you all types of different music options that you can use. Again, all of this is copyright-free, so whichever one that you like, that's the one that you should add. I'm gonna choose this Summer Hill hip-hop sound, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on it, add it to the editing bar right above the video, and then adjust it to match the length of the creative. With that added in, now I'm gonna focus on switching up the hook. So I'm gonna go to text. I do like going down to the text effects so that I can choose different text fonts with borders. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose this art option and drag it all the way down to the editing bar, and then drag it all the way up to the front of the ad to where I want it to end. Now from here, I'm able to click directly into the text and edit it to whatever hook I want. I'm just gonna go ahead and put something like, get her a gift that's everlasting. We all know that people are on the lookout for gifts right now. So I really just wanna grab their attention by using that word and then giving it a height and importance by calling it everlasting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and size that down by clicking on the text and dragging it in. And you can place it wherever you want on the video. And I want this hook to last a couple seconds. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the editing bar and make sure that I drag that time down. Now if I play the ad, you can see that right when that first scene changes, the hook that I added in is going to disappear and the rest of the video is going to play just as normal as it did before. And say you want to add a voiceover to this ad to really tell a story and engage the viewer's emotions. Well, it's very simple to do. You just have to come over here and click the microphone button. Right after clicking on that, you're gonna see the voiceover recording section pop up right here, where you're able to then record whatever script that you have ready for the product. From there, you're able to drag the voice recording to wherever you wanna place it in the video down in the editing bar. And then once that's done, you have a brand new style of ad that is ready to test. Now look, before we go straight into testing, before we jump into anything too technical, I want to make sure that you're setting this up the right way from the start, because how you launch this matters just as much as the ads themselves. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the Facebook page that your ads are going to run from. So on Facebook, just go to the left side, scroll down, click pages, and then hit create new page. Now this is a public page, so this is going to be the one that customers will see. So for the page name, just go ahead and use your store name. Now for the category, type shopping service or whatever matches best from what you're selling. Now for this bio, do not overthink it. You can come in here, you can just write something simple that explains what your store sells. Or if you wanted to sound cleaner, you can also have ChatGPT generate one and just go ahead and paste it in. So right here, just go ahead and hit create page. And then now we got the skeleton of our business page. Now after that, Facebook is gonna let you add in your website, your email, your phone number, profile picture, and a cover photo. Now just go ahead and toss something in this for now, as we can always update it later on. All right, so next thing we need is the domain. because that's what you're gonna end up verifying inside of Meta. So inside Shopify, I'm clicking through the builder, hitting get domain, and then choosing the free option that they gave us for the first year. I type it in, I connect it, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and bounce back to the Facebook page real quick and go ahead and finish the setup. So right here, go ahead and add the website that we just grabbed for your temporary .myshopify domain if it's not already verified yet. Then add in a profile picture, add a cover photo, and then hit done. Now after doing all that, your business page is officially live. Now this is the page that all your ads are gonna be shown from. And you'll also use it for organic engagement, liking posts in your niche, commenting, following creators in your space, all of that. And I will explain why this is so important later in this video, but for now, we just needed the page created. Next up, we're gonna build your business portfolio. This is Meta's version of your business manager. So I'm heading back into the ads manager, and then at the top, you're gonna see the option that says create a business portfolio. So go ahead and click that, and then type in your portfolio name. Now it's gonna go ahead and ask you for your name. And here, you wanna go ahead and put your real first and your real last name exactly how it's shown on your ID. Because there might be a couple times where they ask you to verify that later on, and it does have to match for you to be able to make it through that security. So now you have that set up, just go ahead and hit confirm. And then right here, you're gonna see the Facebook page that we just created pop up. So just go ahead and select it. Click next, and now your business portfolio is officially created. All right, now the next step from here is we need to create an ad account. So right here on the left side, go ahead and click settings, then add accounts, then create new ad account. Then for the name, you can just go ahead and type in your store name again, as nobody's actually going to see this. Now you also want to make sure that your time zone is correct. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Central because I'm locally here in Dallas. Now right here, you just want to go ahead and set the currency to USD or whatever currency you're in, hit next, agree to the terms, and then create the account. Now Facebook is now gonna ask you to add a payment method. Now you have the choice to do this now or do it later, but you have to add it before you start running ads. So honestly, I suggest getting it over with right here so everything is ready to go once we do actually start running the ads. All right, so now that we have all of that finished, let's go ahead and set up the pixel. So on the left menu, go ahead and scroll to data sources, click pixels, and then hit create pixel. Then just name it something simple. I'm just gonna go ahead and name it Pixel 1. Now that you have that finished, we're then gonna go ahead and assign it to your business portfolio and then hit create. Now we need to connect this pixel to Shopify so it can actually track your visitors. So I'm gonna go ahead and click into the events manager, select that same exact pixel, scroll down to partner integrations, and then hit Shopify. So now go ahead and click connect account, continue with your Facebook login, choose your business portfolio, and then when it asks for a permission level, always choose maximum so it can track all the data that it needs. Shopify is now going to show you a list of pixels. So what you want to do is just make sure that you match the last 4 digits of the pixel ID to make sure that you are choosing the right one. Then once that's done, go ahead and click connect, agree to the terms, and then submit for review. You're then going to see it process for just a little bit, and then you're going to be good. So now the pixel is connected, but it is not active yet. So we do need to go ahead and get it set up. So let's head back in here into Shopify. Go to online store, preferences, and then password. Then we want to go ahead and remove the password so the store is publicly viewable. Then you're going to want to go ahead and grab your store domain. Now, if your custom domain isn't ready yet, just go ahead and use a temporary Shopify domain, and where you can go ahead and find it right here under settings and then domains. Now, go ahead and copy that URL and then paste it into the Facebook pixel test field. Now, this next step is important. You want to go ahead and open up the store and act like a customer. So click around, open up a product, add it to cart, click buy now, and even start the checkout. Now you're not gonna actually buy here. What you're doing is you're just firing the pixel event so that Meta sees activity. Then after doing all that activity, you wanna go back into the events manager, and after a few seconds, your pixel should go from red to green. Now, if it doesn't, you do want to go back into the store, go ahead and click around again, as this is also totally normal. Then once it does turn green, go ahead and hit next and then finish. So now at this point, your Facebook page, your domain, your business portfolio, your ad account, pixel, and supplier are now all set up correctly. And that's your entire backend clean, synced, and now ready to run real ads with. But now that the backend is set up, you are officially ready for the step that most beginners skip, which is warming up the account. And look, you can skip this part if you want. Nobody's stopping you. But here's the truth. Almost every time that a beginner skips this part, they will end up paying for it later on. A brand new ad account with no activity, no engagement, and no pixel data, Meta sees that as a risk. And when Meta thinks that you're a risk, your ads will not deliver the way that they should, which makes them way more expensive. They barely even get reach to anyone, and the whole campaign fights against you from day one. And you want to know the solution? Well, it's this warm-up campaign, because it prevents all of that, and it literally only takes 2 minutes to set up. Let me go ahead and show you how to get it done. All right, so inside the ads manager, what you want to do first is go ahead and hit create, click on engagement, and then manual engagement campaign. Now you want to make sure that the objective says engagement and then keep everything else at the campaign level simple. Inside the ad set, you want to name it something like warm up and then set the location to the tier 1 countries, age 21 plus, and your budget at $10 per day. Now for the engagement type, go ahead and choose Facebook page. And since this is just warming things up, you don't need a perfect midnight launch. So whatever point of the day that it is, just go ahead and launch it at that time. Because engagement campaigns, they don't require that level of precision, which you will see why once we start actually running our ads. But for now, let's go ahead and stick to warming up our account. Now inside the ad itself, go ahead and upload one simple scroll stopping image, something positive and eye-catching. Then pair that with a short welcoming captions, like 2 lines max. Something that makes your page feel real and then puts good energy behind your brand. Scrolling down, just make sure that your pixel is active and showing green under tracking, and then go ahead and hit publish. Meta is now gonna ask you to add a payment method if you haven't already added one yet, so this is gonna be the perfect place to go ahead and do that. And that's it. I mean, $10 a day, you just let this thing run, and it's gonna start getting your account warmed up, so you're gonna be in the best position to start running ads here in a second. And I do wanna be real, why this matters even more in 2026. Meta is stricter than it's ever been before. Brand new ad accounts are getting flagged, slowed down, and pushed to the back of the line before they ever even get a chance to perform. Most beginners never recover from that, and they're already fighting uphill before the ads even turn on. But you're not in that position anymore. You've already given Meta the early activity that it wants to see. Your page looks alive, your pixel has movement, and your account is treated like it's actually here to do business, not like some empty profile trying to sell overnight. So now you're starting from a place that most people never reach. And because of that, you're finally ready for the part that actually determines whether you lose money or make money, which is testing your ads. All right, so here's where things get interesting, because the next step isn't guessing or throwing random ads at the wall. It's finding what's already working before you ever even spend a single dollar. And once you know where to look, the pattern jumps out fast. So the question is, well, where's the first place that I should go? And the answer is TikTok. So once you make it on TikTok, right here, just go ahead and search your product name. And what you're looking for is user-generated style or UGC videos with engagement that have solid views, comments, and likes. So I just went ahead and typed weight loss patches into TikTok. And look at this. Here's a video with a little over 20,000 likes. Not views, likes. Which tells me right away that people are not just watching this. They are agreeing with it, saving it, tagging friends. And that is real demand and engagement. And when you watch it, it's the exact type of content that we want. A clear demonstration of the product, no watermark, no brand logo baked in, and no heavy editing. And you can tell that this isn't some polished brand ad. This is raw UGC. It's straight to the point, and that's why it connects, and the comments confirm it. People are asking questions, they're sharing their experiences, debating whether it works. I mean, all the stuff that you want to see. That's what makes a creative like this valuable. When a simple, low-lift video is pulling real engagement like this, it means the solution and the messaging behind the creative is doing the heavy lifting. Not fancy editing and not a crazy script. And that's exactly the type of creatives that you want to test. Because if it's already working organically, it has a real shot at performing inside paid ads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and copy this link. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it into the SSS tick or snap tick and download it without the TikTok watermark. And just like that, I've got a clean-based creative that is now ready to test. Now, another tool that I love to find creatives is also by utilizing the meta ad library, where you're kind of doing the same thing. You're just searching for your product or niche, and then inside, you're gonna see every ad competitor that is running on Facebook and Instagram. So you'll see their videos, their images, their headlines, their offers. I mean, all of it. I mean, here's one example right here, where you can see the angle that they're pushing, which is heat up in 3 seconds, paired with a clean UGC clip. And if you're seeing multiple brands across a niche using that same angle, well, that's a sign that it's definitely pulling conversions. And if you want to go ahead and download a competitor video from here, just use a browser extension like Video Downloader Plus. Then just save it, download it, and you're done. Now, I do want to be clear that we are not copying their text word for word. Instead, you want to take their best performing angle, paste it in ChatGPT, and then say something like, "This is my competitor's primary text for their meta ad. Make me my own high converting version of this for my sales campaign." Then just ask for like 2 or 3 variations. One from the problem angle, one from the convenience angle, and one from the emotional benefit. Boom. Now in only a couple seconds, you got multiple versions that are now ready to test. And at this point, I do want around 5 creatives total. And you kind of want to do this mix of videos and images because you just never can assume. You really have to let the data tell you which one is going to perform the best. So once I have my videos, my images, and my different marketing angles, I'm now officially ready to set up the creative testing campaign. This is how you figure out which ad is actually going to stop the scroll, which angle people respond to, and which one has the potential to carry your entire store. And in 2026, this step is even more important because Meta's new Andromeda update that changed everything. Andromeda put way more weight onto creative performance than it ever has before. It automatically pushes your budget towards the ad that's getting the strongest reactions. So when you're testing your creatives the right way, you're letting the algorithm do the heavy lifting for you. And that's why this works so well now. Then once you find that winning creative, every campaign after this just becomes so much easier, cheaper, and way more predictable. So let me show you exactly how to set this thing up the right way. So back when you make it to this main dashboard, just go ahead and hit create and then hit sales. Now what you want to do is turn on CBO so Meta can put your budget wherever the strongest creative is. And right here, what we're going to do is go ahead and name the campaign. I'm going to go ahead and type in something like weight loss patches sales campaign. Then for budget, I would recommend starting at around $50 a day. And sure, yes, you can do $20 or $25, but I want you to understand, lower budget equals slower data. Where at $50, you know exactly what works within a day or two. Now, once the budget is set, inside the ad set, you want to set the conversion location to website, since we are going to be sending people to your Shopify product page, not your home page, your product page. So I do want to make that very clear. Now for the performance goal, it should always be maximize number of conversions, and the event should always be purchase. Next, we're going to go ahead and set the schedule to start at midnight. Now this is important because if you turn your ads on at 3 p.m., Meta will try to spend that full daily budget in only a couple hours, which ultimately hurts your performance, where midnight gives you clean delivery and clean data. Now for targeting, you want to make this as simple as possible, which is by keeping it broad. Now that that's set, go ahead and set your location to the main buying countries. The ones that consistently perform the best are going to be United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. Now for age, go ahead and make it 21 plus, and then set the language set at English. Again, the whole point here is that this is a creative test, so we definitely don't want to overcomplicate targeting. Alright, so inside the ad level, you want to make sure that your Facebook page and your Instagram account are connected. Then you want to go ahead and paste your exact product page URL inside of the website URL field. Again, not the homepage, because the fewer clicks that it takes to land on your product, the higher the conversions are going to be. Now right here is where you're going to go ahead and upload all of your creatives. Now let's go ahead and lock in the text. Now this is the part that either pulls people in or loses them immediately, where your primary text is where you're going to sell the product, the benefits, the problem that it solves, and why it's even worth clicking. But the structure is what actually makes people read it. So you want to space it out, short lines, clear points, no walls of text, because people will scroll right past those. And the very first line, that is everything. I mean, it's about 90% of your success. If that first line doesn't make someone stop, nothing else matters. And if someone taps the see more button, that's a clear signal telling Meta that people care about this. And Meta rewards that by pushing your ad to more people for cheaper. Now with your headline, this should always highlight your main offer, like 50% off plus free shipping, buy two, get one free, or buy one and get the second one for 50% off. You want to always avoid bland headlines like hair growth spray, shop now. Nobody's going to click on those because they don't communicate value. They don't tell the customer what they're getting or why they should care. But after you get all of that inputted, you now have your first ad completed. And look, instead of rebuilding everything from scratch, all we now have to do is just duplicate your first ad. So if you have 5 creatives, you want 5 ads inside that same ad set. And when duplicating, you always want to double check the basics, which is going to be your URL, your shop now call to action, pixel, copy, and your correct creative selected. When you're duplicating, Meta sometimes does reset small things, so always just go in and confirm it. And now once all your creatives have their own individual ad, we are now ready to publish. Alright, so at this point, your creative testing campaign is officially built. You've got multiple angles, multiple creatives, clean tracking, clean text, and clean structure. Everything's set up exactly the way that it should be. But I want you to remember, the whole reason that we set this up the way we did is so that the next step actually means something. Because once the ad starts spinning, the entire game shifts. Now you're not building anymore. You're reading. You're letting the numbers tell you which angle's strong, which one is weak, and which one actually has the potential to carry your entire store. And if you don't know how to read that data, everything that you just did becomes guesswork. So in this next section, I'm gonna break down how to understand your numbers the right way. Your CPM, CTR, unique link clicks, add to carts, purchases, ROAS, all of it. Because the faster that you can read your data, the faster that you can cut the losers, push the winners, and scale with confidence. Look, before we get into any of this, let me just address the obvious. Seeing all these numbers for the first time, it can 100% feel overwhelming. Everybody feels that way. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make this as simple as possible. So by the time that we are done with this section, you're going to know exactly what every metric means, why it matters, and how to use it to make the right call. where you can turn an ad off, keep it running, or scale it with confidence. Because once you understand this part, running ads stops being guesswork. Every decision becomes clear, fast, and profitable. So let me go ahead and pull up this KPI sheet. Because once you learn how to read it the right way, everything else in your ad account finally starts to make sense. So the first number that you're gonna see is CPM, or better known as cost per 1,000 impressions. What this is gonna do is it's gonna tell you how expensive your niche or audience is with what you're putting out there to them. So there's only two things that can happen here. You can have a low CPM or a high CPM. A lower CPM means cheaper traffic. Higher CPM means even more expensive traffic. And if CPMs are super high, everything else will naturally be more expensive. So if it's around like that $15 to $20 range, you're definitely doing good. But if you notice it around $30 to $40 plus, that's just telling you that your industry is more competitive and your ads are not competitive enough inside of that industry. Now, next is gonna be your CPC, or better known as your cost per click. This just basically tells you how much you're paying for someone to click your ad. So the lower, the better. But again, CPC alone is not gonna sit here and tell you the full story. Now, this is gonna lead us into one of the leading decision metrics that matters a lot in creative testing, which is going to be your cost per unique link click. This is what the real cost is for you to get somebody to visit your website. Look, Facebook counts every click, even if the same person taps into your ad 5 times. So unique link clicks are only going to be counting for the people who make it to your website, while your clicks are only going to count for the people who are clicking into your ad, which makes this number far more important than your cost per clicks. This is why the KPI sheet gives you a cutoff for your unique link click costs. Now, for example, if your cutoff is $1.10 for your cost per link click, and this ad that you're looking at has spent like $5 to $10, and you don't have a single link click into your website, just go ahead and turn it off. You don't even have to run all the way to the break-even cost per purchase, which we will talk about in a little bit, because you know that your ad is already showing you early on that it's not working. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the next big metric that's important, which is going to be your CTR, or better known as your click-through rate. Now, your click-through rate is going to tell you one thing. Did your creatives actually make people stop and click to watch them? Now, what I like to look for here is 2.5% and up. That's the baseline that tells me that the thumbnail, the headline, and the ad copy text is doing well enough to get people to want to click into it. Now, the next metric that you always want to be aware of is going to be your average video watch time, which is just going to tell you on average how long people are watching your videos. And the more that they're watching, obviously it's going to come down to the more that they're interested in the product. Now, that is all considered front-end metrics. Now, why I call this front-end metrics is because this is all things that happen before they actually click into your website. Now we are going to head into your back-end metrics, which is what it's going to cost for people to make actions when they do visit your website. Starting off with add to cart. Now, these metrics are going to be your holy grail. These are the most important metrics when it comes to your creative testing campaign. This is the moment that tells you that your ad did its job. You know the right audience and you know the right person that you're targeting. And when they did make it to your website, you know exactly how much it costs for them to add the product to cart. So add to carts are a big deal in testing because they're the first sign that people are seriously considering buying. And this is why that cutoff number exists. Because even if you're driving traffic to your website, but they're not sitting there adding the product to the cart, you also don't want to spend way too much money on that either. So it kind of gives you that parameter that you can use to make the right type of decision making when running ads. For example, if you have a cutoff now with $10 for an add to cart, and you get an add to cart at $8, and that break-even purchase number tells you exactly how far you can let an ad spin while still giving it a chance to break even and get a purchase, which means that ultimately you're not losing money, but you're also not making money either. So in our example, let's say your break-even cost per purchase is $23.78. Then if you do get an add to cart by that $10 break-even add to cart, then we will now let it run to $23.78 to try to get that purchase. And if it hits that number and you don't get a purchase, you turn it off. But if you do, before you reach it to that point, you then know that you made profit. And also you can notice that it doesn't just stop after the first purchase, it continues to keep going from that point as well. So then you know that your next break even is going to be $47.56, which means that if you don't get that second purchase by that point, you still then just turn it off. Then you see your fourth point is $118.90, and so on and so forth. This is where everything becomes math-based. Once purchases come in, you move through the break-even ladder, where each step along the way tells you exactly how far to let the ad spend go before deciding if it stays or gets cut. And then when you're seeing these purchases consistently coming in under those thresholds, which you will because you're following this strategy, well, that's when you know you're ready to scale. Now, right here on the right-hand side of the KPI sheet, you're going to see your break-even ROAS and your target cost per purchase. Now, your break-even ROAS, or better known as your return on ad spend, is just telling you something similar to any type of business, which is ROI, Are you making money while running ads, or are you losing money while running ads? So if your break-even ROAS is 1.69 and your actual ROAS is above that, then you're profitable. And anything below that means that you're not. Same exact thing applies when it comes to the target cost per purchase. If you're below it consistently, you are 100% in a great place. So here's a simple way to think about all of this. Click-through rate just tells you if your ad and your thumbnails are interesting. Your unique link clicks tell you if people care enough to click into your website. Your added carts tell you if the offer makes sense. Your purchase tells you if your funnel works. And your ROAS tells you if you made money. And I know, 10 minutes ago, this all looked crazy confusing. But now you can read your data like someone who's been running ads for months. You know what's good, what's bad, when to turn things off, when to keep them running, and when it's time to scale. And most importantly, you're no longer guessing. I mean, the numbers tell you everything. And because you made it this far, I'm actually gonna give you this exact KPI playbook that people spend thousands on for 100% free. So when it is time to run your ads, you have a clear roadmap for what to cut, what to keep running, and what to scale. And you can click the link in the description right below to grab it so you can finally start understanding your own numbers. Okay, so now that the testing phase is handled and you understand what it means to read your data, let me go ahead and walk you through what comes next, which is what to do when you finally see a winning creative inside your ads manager. All right, so we ended up publishing 7 different ads, and we actually ended up getting a few purchases from one of them here. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into the metrics. So as you can see on ad 3, we ended up getting 2 purchases with a cost per result right around $10.24. So there were a couple ads that were turned off because the spin was getting a little too high, and we weren't really seeing that 2.5% click-through rate that we wanted. Now these ads weren't performing the way that we needed, so ultimately what we needed to do was just go ahead and cut them. And the ones that were left on were the stronger performers. Where you can see right here with ad 7, I mean, it has a lot of engagement and a lot of clicks. But we are seeing more added carts coming specifically from ad 3. And that's when you got to start making those decisions. You can see ad 7 does look good on the front end metrics, but ad 3 is the one that's actually pushing people deeper into the funnel. That's why we always look at both. Reach, clicks, click-through rate on one side, which again is your front end, and then your added carts, checkouts, and purchases on the other, which is your back end, before we ever decide which ad to move forward with. Now overall, it looks like ad 3 is the winning creative here. With $42.20 spent, we had 2 purchases coming in from ad 3, plus a couple of upsells attached to those orders. Now ROAS is positive at 3.28, which is solid. And if we go briefly back here to the KPI calculator, you can see that our target profit ROAS KPI is 1.74. And that was to make a 20% profit margin. So 1.74 is the goal, and we now have done 3.28 ROAS, which means that we're sitting right around like a 40% profit margin with this. Now looking back on our metrics, at this point we know that ad 3 is the winning ad. Now we're already getting a good return on our ad spend. So if we just go ahead and increase the budget, we can't expect cost per click to stay around that $1 range, but ultimately make even more sales and profit. So let's go ahead and click on ad 3, hit duplicate, and then choose to duplicate the original setup into a new campaign. Now we can go ahead and finish setting this new campaign out. So here what we're gonna do is just simply increase the budget. Somewhere around that $75 to $100 is definitely a good start, depending on how many ads that you're running. Now the more that you increase the budget, the more people that you can touch with it, and ultimately the more chances that you give yourself to make even more money. This is exactly why we did the creative testing campaign first, to make sure that we had good metrics and actual conversions before putting more money behind anything. So with the rest of this campaign, I mean, honestly, we're just gonna keep everything else relatively the same. The campaign name reflects that this is the winning setup. The ad set is still sending traffic to the same website, and our performance goal is still maximize number of conversions. And then for the purchase event, we're still gonna always optimize for purchase with Pixel 1. So we're gonna go ahead and have this scheduled again for midnight so that the budget spends cleanly over the next full day. And then on the audience side, again, we're still gonna keep things the exact same as before. Now, when it comes to targeting, you have 2 decisions here. You can either keep one broad ad set targeting a group of top countries, or you can start structuring things by duplicating the ad set and focusing on one country per ad set. For example, you can stick with the United States in one ad set and then add additional ad sets for other strong markets that you already seen activity from. Now in this case, when we broke down the campaign data, we saw a lot of engagement coming from Canada, and we even had a few purchases from Canada as well. We also saw activity from places like Portugal and the United Kingdom. So one option is keep the original ad set targeting the United States and then duplicate that ad set and then swap the country to Canada then duplicate that again and swap it to United Kingdom, and then just so on and so forth. Where you're still utilizing that same winning ad and focusing on the same structure, you're just giving it more chances across different countries where you know that there's interest, where you're letting the Advantage Plus in the AI system help you build a stronger overall campaign score as you scale. Now, back at the ad level, we're going to keep working with the same winning ad, which is ad 3. We already know that the base creative works. So instead of changing the whole video right away, we're gonna create variety by just testing different types of thumbnails. So we're gonna take that winning ad 3 and then now duplicate it multiple times. In this case, we're gonna duplicate it 4 times, so we have a total of 5 different ads. All of these different ads are using the same winning video, but again, each one will just have a different thumbnail, where you'll see something like ad 3 thumbnail 1 as the original, and then ad 3 thumbnail 2, ad 3 thumbnail 3, and then just so on and so forth. So you just wanna go ahead and click into one of these duplicates, scroll down to the media section, and then hit edit media. Choose edit video and then click on the thumbnail. Now here you're gonna see different frames from the video itself that you can then use as alternate thumbnails. So for thumbnail 3, for example, we're gonna select one of these images, save it, and now that still image will show before the video plays, giving us a slightly different hook on that same type of winning ad. Then we just wanna repeat this for the rest of the duplicates, so we end up with multiple versions of ad 3, each with different thumbnails. That way, we're still pushing our best performing video, but with more variety and how it appears in the feed. And doing things like this is why understanding your data before this point is so important. Because once you get into this step of scaling, every decision has bigger consequences. Now look, if you made it this far, you're probably thinking, okay, I understand the steps. I know how to find a product, I know how to set up the store, handle fulfillment, launch ads, but then the real concern hits. As a beginner, you're probably sitting there like, man, I do not have the budget to be running ads like this. And look, that is fair. And I get why you may be thinking that. So let me just tell you something real. That store that I mentioned earlier at the very beginning of this video, the one that I scaled to over $100,000 in under 30 days, I didn't do that with some massive ad budget. I started with only $100 out of my own pocket, just to prove to you that you don't need some crazy budget. From there, every dollar that the store made went straight back into ads. Day after day, just consistently reinvesting profit, testing new ads, new angles, and new creatives. That's how the momentum built. And I'm about to break it all down for you step by step, full case study style, so you can do the exact same thing. I've always been big with reinvesting profits. I mean, that's how I managed to start the store with just $100 and use the profits to scale it up. But to do that, you've got to really understand your numbers. When you're making money, breaking even, or losing money. That's what guided every move that I made when it came to increasing budgets, bringing them down, and when to know when to pivot. And to keep track of it all, I use a Shopify app called True Profit, which gave me a clear picture of exactly where the money was going and what was coming back every single night. All right, so here's a breakdown of the last 90 days running this store on Shopify. And as you can see, we're sitting at around 173,000 in total sales, creeping up right around 174,000. Now, let's go ahead and pull that same total inside True Profit so we can actually see how much of this is profit, not just revenue. So if we go from July 9th up to today, here's basically what it looks like. As you can see, it has almost 5,000 total orders with a net profit of almost $57,000. Our total ad spend came in around 107,000, and then you can see all the total costs came out to around 117,000. And if you keep scrolling down, you're gonna get a deeper visual of the full breakdown, where you can see about 91% of what we put in went towards ads and financials, 6K in transaction fees, and around 3,000 in cost of goods. Now right here is where you can see the breakdown by ad channels, your ROAS, and even your orders versus ad spend per order. I mean, you really do get the full analysis. Every dollar coming in, every dollar going out, all mapped out in one place. And having visibility on these numbers is huge because it's gonna tell you exactly where your money's working and honestly where it's not. Even if we come back in here and look at today's number, I mean, you can see exactly how detailed this gets. $507 in revenue, $395 in total costs, leaving $101 in net profit once everything, including ad spend, is accounted for. Now, if we go ahead and cross-check that with Shopify, as you can see, the numbers match up. But the difference is, Shopify is just showing you the top line sales, where True Profit is going to show you the real picture, everything that actually affects what you keep and what you need to change. Now check this out. Our average order value started at between $20, and then you can see it jumped all the way up to $46. Now that's because we're not just selling products anymore, we're stacking smart upsells that boost every single checkout. And don't worry, I will be showing you exactly how to build those upsells later in this video. But first, let me just show you one more thing inside True Profit that just ties all of this together. Now right here, there's a full P&L tab where you get your gross sales, discounts, returns, everything organized and laid out clearly. So you can see exactly how each month performed and where your profit margins are strongest. So if you're serious about knowing exactly how much profit that you're making after all the costs and the ad spend, then True Profit is a tool that I recommend. It's super simple, it's accurate, and it's gonna save you a ton of time. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description so you can check it out as well. All right, so now that you know the key steps that I took to set myself up to scale this product to over $100,000, well, let me show you how I actually did that from scratch. Meaning I was launching with a brand new product, with a brand new ad account, brand new pixel, everything was completely new. And I did it this way because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I was just trying to prove a point with this product. Showing proof that even if you're starting from the very beginning, if you focus on an emotion driving product and you put your all into content, you can turn up your store faster than you ever imagined. But because I was running this product with a new ad account and pixel, I also knew that this meant I could potentially run into the problem of Facebook banning my ads manager. So instead of diving straight into running ads and setting big budgets to push the product, I just had to ease into it with what I call a spin test CBO campaign. And inside the spin test, I was just testing out 2 different angles of the ad and really just letting the account spin to start warming it up. So let's go ahead and dive into the ad account and I'll show you how I got this thing set up. So to set this up, all I did was come over here to my ads manager and then click create and then click sales so I can set up a CBO campaign. So to set this up, I'm just gonna scroll down and right here where it says budget, I just went ahead and set the budget at $10. Again, the main thing I was trying to do with this campaign wasn't looking for purchases with the spin test. I was really just trying to warm up the account by just letting it spin. Now after setting that budget, I'm gonna head over here to the ad set level, click on website and maximize number of conversions. And then for the data set, I just selected the pixel that was associated with my store. And then for the conversion event, I always just choose purchase. Now what I did next is I set the time for the ads to start running the following night at midnight. And then for the locations, I just kept it at United States. That's basically all I did on the ad set level. And then on the ad level, that's where I just stacked 6 different ads to spend a $10 budget with. And then from there, I just published it and I just waited till midnight to let these ads start spinning. And even though I wasn't technically looking for a purchase with this campaign, this is exactly why I always set the goal of the ads as purchase, because you never want to limit if a customer can purchase from you, even while you're just testing. And I say that because as you can see by the next morning at around 9 a.m., I officially had my first sale on this product. As you can see right here, I only spent $8 to make that sale. But again, because I'm on a brand new ads manager at this point, it still didn't populate into the ads manager yet. But if we take a further look into the numbers, you can see that I had 2 link clicks, and out of those 2 link clicks, I got a sale which put me at a 50% conversion rate, which is absolutely crazy. And when I saw that, I knew that this was gonna be a great sign. That was all the proof that I needed to go all in on this product, because with those results day one, I already knew that if I didn't do that, someone else definitely would. Customers were already showing their interest in the product from just the first couple hours that I ran it. So the plan moving on from here was simple. That same night, I just duplicated the setup and launched 2 brand new CBOs, where each one of these campaigns had completely different angles. One was straight UGC, people talking to the camera, sharing their experience with the product. And the other was more visual and showcasing the product itself. No faces, just hands flipping through the book, showing the product and its value in action. So what I did is I loaded 2 campaigns up with 16 ads across the 2 campaigns and gave each one of them a $10 budget. Nothing crazy. Testing this just to see which type of angle was really going to hit. So I set those ads to start running at midnight that morning as well. And the next morning, I ended up waking up to another sale for about $42. And then after cutting some of the fat on my ads and making sure that things were overspending, I just let them run for the rest of that day. And when I checked in later that night, I had almost $400 in sales. So by this point, I had about $241 in ad spend, and I spent about $90 in cost of goods, which means that I profited that day with $69. Now I typically reinvest about 30% of my profits day in and day out. But on smaller profit days like this, I just ended up putting that full $69 right back into my ads the next day. So at this point, I was at day 2 of running ads on this brand new ad account, and I really only had just one focus here: cut the ads that weren't working for me and reinvest my profits into the ads that were really finding areas to scale. And for those of you who are wondering how I was able to understand where I needed to cut ads or even where I needed to scale, I knew this because of this KPI chart right here. Now this chart is something that I use for every single product that I'm testing, where I just plug in my selling price, the cost of goods of the product, and what profit target that I'm trying to reach. And just by providing it that information, it calculates exactly what my break-even return on ad spend is, which for this product came out to right around 1.32, which in simpler terms means that anything above that 1.32 ROAS means that I was breaking even or making profit. And throughout that whole first week of running ads, I mean, you can see that I had multiple ad sets that were sitting above that 1.32 ROAS. So because of that, I was really just focused on keeping the ads profitable, adjusting the budget, and then just cutting the ads that weren't working for me. But listen, what really pushed things into profitability is when I started setting up more CBO campaigns with different ads to test within them, where the purpose behind setting up multiple CBO campaigns was just to help me keep testing content and just finding even more winners to throw into a champion CBO. And honestly, it wasn't even until day 4 of running these ads where things really started to click. One of the ad angles I was testing, the one with no face, just the hands flipping through the book, it actually started performing crazy well. That single angle spent $186. and it brought back $449 in sales. Now, the other angle, the UGC style clips of girls ripping through the book, it actually just wasn't even hitting the same, I'll be real with you. Where it spent $147 and it only made $157 back, which is still slightly profitable, but nowhere near the returns of that first angle. But overall, I was happy with how day 4 turned out. I mean, across all the ads, I spent $340 and I made $649 back. And factoring in about $120 in cost of goods, that left me with $189 in profit, which means that I made more profit in one day than the entire first 3 days combined. And listen, that right there told me one thing. It was time to push and it was time to scale, because when something's working, you don't play scared. You always double down. So I just went ahead and increased the daily budget on my best performing campaign by $250. Then I just duplicated that winning setup into one of those new CBO campaigns I was just telling you about, using the same structure I just showed you earlier, just with new variations of that top performing angle, which put me at 21 total ads running by the end of the night, set to go live at midnight. And now as soon as I woke up that next day, I knew it was going to be a major day, because that campaign that I boosted to $250, it completely took off. By the end of that day, I spent $470 total between the original campaign and the new CBO. And together, those two campaigns brought in around $1,300 in revenue. And after calculating the cost of goods, I ended that day with $621 in profit, a 3.5 times increase from just the day before. That's how fast profit can grow with e-commerce. The day before, I was only touching $189 in profit, but this day, I'd already reached over $600. And as the night went on, the numbers just kept climbing. And that's when I realized it was only day 5. And since starting to run ads on this brand new ad account, I had already cleared nearly $900 in total profit. So again, it was time to practice what I preach and continue to reinvest profits to grow. So what I did was I launched my champion campaign, vertically scaling my top creatives at $1,200 inside a single CBO. And now keep in mind, I only have profited about $900 up to this point. So yeah, I put all the profits back in, and I even came out of pocket an extra $300. I did this because I knew that this product had potential, and I knew I would make that money back to take me back to that total investment of just $100. And what can I say? It definitely paid off pretty quickly at that. Literally by 10 a.m. the next day, I was already sitting at $1,000 in revenue. This right here is the power of a great product, a strong strategy, and knowing how to leverage Facebook algorithm to put your ads directly in front of the people who are actually ready to buy. And by the end of day 7, I was already having $500 profit days, and that's when everything started to scale fast. The part that I love most about this business is just how repeatable it is. You see, once you find that product that hits, the product and ads are going to do the heavy lifting for you, where all you have to do is just stay disciplined. Keep reinvesting at least 30% of your profits back into your business and just watch how it grows. And that's exactly what I did across 24 days of running this product. And that's what launched me into making over $100,000 in sales by the end of this month, walking away with over $22,000 in profit. And that's why I keep saying the strategy didn't change. Even after those 7 days, you can notice that nothing was really changing on my ad account. I was just rolling out new campaigns, testing new CBOs and angles that were feeding me data, and one champion campaign that kept compounding results day after day. Because when you have the right product, the right structure, and the right mindset, you don't need luck or some magic pill. You just need consistency and control. Listen, if you made it all the way through this beginner's guide, I just want to personally say congratulations, because you're already ahead of the majority of people who quit before they ever gave themselves a real shot. You know now the mistakes that keep beginners stuck. You've seen how dropshipping actually works in 2026. You understand how to structure your store, how to think about products, and how to run ads the right way. The entire foundation, all in one video. But here's the truth. Information doesn't change anything unless you apply it. So if you're serious about this, do not stop here. Go back through this guide, and this time follow along step by step. Build as you watch and lock in, because progress in this game doesn't come from just watching a bunch of videos. It comes from execution. And man, I genuinely want to say I appreciate every single one of you who stay with me throughout this guide. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in this new year. And this is AC with Supreme Ecom, and I'll see you in the next one.